Good afternoon to you. This is BBC Radio London. Now, today, this is one of our news sections. I really, really like it. I've got to say to you because I like people. I like stories around people, and this it speaks to all of those things that I like, and hopefully you will enjoy too. It's the latest in our series of the moment that changed my life. When my next guest got divorced, she travelled to India to do a bit of soul searching. As you do, I suppose. But what she didn't realise was that her life was about to change. The trip inspired her to create her lifestyle brand, Sara Miller London. I'm very pleased to say that Sara is the award winning designer. Sara, please excuse me, is on the line now. Hello, Sara.
Hi, Eddie.
Hey.
Thank you so much for
Oh,
having me on the
oh,
show.
they told me you're nervous. See, my boss here, Sadia, we were last Thursday. I'm going to just tell you the truth because it always sets you free, doesn't the truth? We were having our debrief, and she said, "Oh, I've got so many of her things. She is just wonderful. You've got to talk to her. Have you read this story? Here's the article." Okay, okay, Sadia. She's a bit of a force of nature. It's so lovely to be able to spend a little time and to talk to you. Um,
Thank you.
Funny enough, there's a guy who I've been trying to get on called Gerald Ratner. I don't know if you remember the story, but his story is exactly the opposite of yours. He was doing well, he was selling all sorts of stuff, and then he talked about us buying his stuff, and it was rubbish. And all of a sudden, wasn't selling anymore. And yours has come almost from despair to something wonderful. How is
Thank
it a good
you.
day today? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Busy with lots happening with work
Get that work-life balance sorted,
yeah,
okay? Yeah, we
exactly.
don't want any mucking about. You're doing well. We can delegate. Hey, look at me. You can delegate. Just tell me now, because I'm sorry to start in the sad place, but it is the genesis of this for us. Divorces are always painful, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. I was 29 years old, and I was suddenly sort of hit with the reality that my long-term relationship and marriage to my ex-husband was falling apart, and yeah, I was totally devastated. You don't like walk down the aisle thinking it's going to end in divorce, and yeah, I was young, and I decided I needed to just have some time to. There was a period I wasn't quite sure kind of what was going to happen, and we separated, and I went off to India just for a 2 week trip, just whilst having my job back here.
What do you
Uh,
do? What did you do at this time? Not now,
at,
clearly, no. But what are we doing for a job at this point?
I was working as a greeting card designer. I had been doing that for about 8 years, probably 7 or 8 years. Yeah, designing birthday cards
Is that
and
the
all sorts of
outside or
different
the
things.
inside? I'm so sad. Sorry. Is that the poems to go on, or that the
No,
pictures
no,
and the
doing the
images and
design. The
whatever?
design,
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Right.
drawing
Right.
basically,
Okay.
yeah.
So you've got a little bit of the artistic thing in you anyway. Had you thought before that point of branching out and doing it for yourself, or I could do this better? Had you thought any of that before?
I had always been very ambitious. I guess, yeah. So I sort of had it in me, but not especially. It was kind of it was only later that I sort of felt like I needed a new challenge, and yeah, and then went on to take the plunge to do it. So, but at that point, certainly, yeah, not really.
So when we go off, are we going off to clear our heads? Are we going off to passes in new? What I mean, I love Asia, but why are we going to Asia and India specifically then?
It was somewhere I'd always wanted to be, to go and visit, and that my ex hadn't. So we'd been together for a long time, so I hadn't had that
All right,
opportunity.
so
So it
let's just pick that apart. You'd wanted to go, but he wasn't particularly
wasn't
enthusiastic.
somewhere some
Now
people.
his view doesn't actually matter anymore.
So, and yeah, I just thought as a creative person, it would be somewhere really interesting to go. And yeah, so off I went with a backpack on my own, and
So were we slumming it then, or were we doing it?
oh,
Because India is one of those places you can literally slum it, or you can do the kind of seven-star resort.
oh
What
no,
mindset did we leave with, Sarah?
it was very basic what I did. Yeah, I joined a tour group because I didn't want to travel on my own, just from a safety point of view. So, but it was maybe two-star hotel, sort of. Not, yeah, it
A, b-
wasn't
a
it
bunk.
certainly wasn't seven.
A bunk. All right. Okay. So I now know the type of place that you were staying in. I've done that one myself. Cheap and cheerful, but great company, I imagine, as well, with the sorts of people that you would have been
Yeah, it
on
was
there with.
great.
But did you go with the expectation and the sights, the sounds, the colors, the fabrics? Did you go, and also one imagines some of the seasonings, the herbs. Did you go with that in mind, or was it just far away, nothing to see, nothing to do, clear my mind, rest?
It was both. I wanted to have an experience for me, I guess, but also knew I needed some time to sort of clear my head and work out my way forward.
I'm in conversation with Sara Miller. Sara Miller is a success story now, founder of Sara Miller London, award-winning designer. We're getting the moment that changed my life, but with you, it should be the trip. Tell me what you saw.
There
Tell me.
was there was one moment though. There was
Look at
one
you.
actually. um, yeah, it was crazy. It really hit me. I was on a tuk-tuk whizzing around, as you know, the drivers there. The roads are a bit chaotic.
I do know that.
And I
Yes.
was going, yeah, on a tuk-tuk on a major roundabout, and I sort of looked over, and there was a whole family sort of bundled onto a moped. But they were all so happy, and
It
you
is
know,
amazing that, isn't it? Where you see 4 or 5 people on a moped,
I
and
mean,
literally the
with
children
a little
and a little
baby,
baby
like,
standing up in the front. It is when you see it, it's for the first time, you're like, "My goodness." But it's the way it is. Sorry for interrupting you there. Apologies,
that's
Sarah.
okay. That's okay. So I sort of looked at them and looked at their happiness, and I just thought, I don't need to live a life that's anything but happy. And it was a real like hit me moment. And in that instant, I almost knew like what my future was going to, be, in terms of I would be, yeah, probably going back home and going through the divorce, which is what happened.
Yeah, but that's different, isn't it? That's different. So you're saying you went thinking, "I'm gonna go to see if this relationship is what I really want," as opposed to, "I have just divorced and I'm going to see what my future holds."
Exactly. It was a separation at that
Yes.
point, and I just needed some space. And yeah, and then yeah, I think just watching people and seeing people at the other side of the world with all sorts of and poverty and everything, all sorts
Mm.
of people, and it just struck me like, what,
It
I don't
is,
need
yeah.
to be unhappy. I don't,
It is the greatest gift I think we can give our children, and much of what I do here in London, I say to people traveling, if we get the young people to travel, because when you travel and you see how people live and how content they are with what they have, you realise that
absolutely.
we're here scrapping away for things quite often that don't matter actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it just really gave me that sort of clarity and courage, I guess, to sort of come home and establish the future that I wanted.
So the fabrics and the smells and the tastes weren't from, Asia. They were what became clear to you once you'd cleared your head.
So they then I came back home. I sort of reestablished my life. I networked and tried to create a social life that was, meeting new people. And as I sort of healed from that whole process, I then decided it was time to sort of leave my job and try something different.
Yes.
And yeah, which was about a year and a half after the trip to
How
India.
scary is that? I've been reading. There's a comedian in America, and I've been reading, and he's talking about the leap. We all know change is. By the way, change is the most challenging word that we have in the dictionary, so far as I'm concerned. And you want to do it, but actually leaving that security is the challenge. And once you've leapt, you go, "Why didn't I do it before?" Tell me how challenging that leap was.
Yeah, very, very challenging. Yeah, just took a leap of faith. I guess I was on my own at that point. I wasn't like I had a family to support or anyone else to really be considering, which probably made it a little bit easier than doing it a bit later on. But yeah, I didn't leave to set up Sara Miller as a brand. I left to pursue a different business, which was totally separate, novelty tableware. And I spent about 6 months, yeah, blood, sweat, and tears on that, and then that didn't materialize quite, yeah, into anything really that I had anticipated. And it was at that point that I was like, yet again, sort of faced with this question to myself of what's my way forward and where do I go from here? This is what I left my job to do. I had thought that there would be traction, and there just wasn't. And it was a sort of in that digging deep moment for almost the second time. I then the whole Indian trip came back into play, and I suddenly I looked back at the photos, and but all the inspiration, the saris, the palaces, all of that sort of then came back, and I locked myself in a room. I designed for about 6 weeks non-stop, and came up with the range that would then launch the following year to in retail as at the start of Sara Miller London.
And it changed your life, didn't it? You're
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
incredibly modest, and I respect and appreciate that. But this is a celebration of you, and hopefully through our conversation and inspiration for other people. That is my aim. Whether I ever achieve it, I don't know. But that's my aim. So please don't be humble, because you want people to know that quite often the end is a beginning of something else.
Yeah, I think if I could tell the younger version of myself where I would be now, like I would not have believed it
Where
for
are
a
you now?
second.
Before you do that, tell everybody, because you're
Oh,
being humble. I mean, you're big cheese now, aren't you?
the brand has grown really quickly, and yeah, we've got an enormous range. We've got over 1,000 products in our collection, spanning stationery and greeting cards, which is where it started. And then very quickly, the sales were very strong, and I went into homeware. So now I have cushions and bedding and fabric and wallpaper and whole tabletop ranges and ceramics, and yeah, we've just launched handbags. We've got watches and jewelry, and yeah, all sorts. So it's really quite a comprehensive range, and it's distributed to 60 countries in the world. So yeah, I mean, these are things I just didn't. I still kind of have to pinch myself that this is where we are,
Okay,
and yeah,
brilliant. I mean, we're going. I want that message to yourself to be nearer the end, because I need you to articulate for me, characterize your aesthetic.
okay. So so I've always loved print and pattern and color. Color is absolutely key to all the designs. Recognize, people recognize constantly the displays of products in the shops, very much by the color palette that's used. It's influenced from got an Asian influence. I've traveled to India, I've traveled to Japan, so bringing in some of that, and it's sort of it's got a luxurious feel. There's lots of gold that we use in the designs. So it's just I think quite distinctive and very decorative and embellished. I kind of have
Yeah,
a
I love that. Decorative and embellished. And you did find love, didn't you?
I did, yes. So yeah,
Sorry, that's me enjoying it. That's me enjoying it.
I in the middle of all of this, sort of setting up the business, I was putting myself out there doing online dating, and I met my husband Phil, and yeah, we clicked instantly. It was kind of very apparent straight away that he was someone special, and it was sort of a bit of a whirlwind
Are you glowing
romance.
as you're speaking to me? I can feel a glow. Is that what you're doing, Sarah?
Perhaps, perhaps.
That's beautiful. What a lovely story. Do please, because it is important. Quite a lot of the time, we've been doing whole things on safety of women and girls, the inspiration, what people want to be, allowing them to be, dreaming big, not taking no for an answer. It seems to me, as highlighted by Sadia, that you're the absolute epitome of that. That locking yourself away. When you lock yourself away for that amount of time and design things, you must learn things about yourself. What did you learn about yourself?
I don't know. That's quite a hard question. I just get into it. Like as a
Yeah.
creative person, it's just such a buzz to be designing when you know you're on a roll with something.
Yes, you got
It's
something here. We've got
incredibly
something here.
satisfying.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
I put myself in the headspace of my old position where I used to review sort of my team's work in my job, and I yeah, I sort of had all these mini conversations in my mind with
No, you didn't.
imagining
No,
someone
you
else.
didn't. Yeah, you didn't. We don't know. You don't have to lie to me. You had them out loud, didn't you? You didn't have them in your head at all.
I was no, they were definitely in my head. I critiqued my work, I guess, from the headspace of like what how I had always done my job before. So that pushed me as well to sort of create something that was really truly unique um, and distinctive in the marketplace.
Give that message because I think that that's so fundamental. And thank you for talking to me. I know that we had to kind of do all sorts of things to convince you. It's not that kind of interview. It's we want to inspire people. We want to let people in London know that they can be all that they want to be. And it's been really lovely listening to you. And if anything, once this whole thing clears up, I think there'll be a few of us. I've only been to pretend India. You see, I went to Goa, which isn't really India, is it? It's a Portuguese colony over there. Give a message to your younger self, please, Sarah.
Oh, so I guess it's just on for anybody listening as well. If you're having a hard time, that you've got the strength, if you dig deep, to sort of be to determine your own future and not to make compromises, and that you deserve the best, and that you can work to achieve it. I think it was all it was incredibly daunting, and I was scared to make the decisions I did, but I'm now married with two children and have this business. So, yeah, it's digging deep and having the confidence and self belief that you can determine your own future.
We ask the people who come in to do this for us to pick a song. You introduce your song. What song have you picked and why, please?
So, I have picked The End of the Line by the Travelling Wilburys. So my dad is a massive Bob Dylan fan, and I grew up listening to Bob Dylan and the Beatles all through my childhood. My parents have always been very supportive of me all the way through, and are my biggest fans with the brand. So I sort of wanted to pick a song which I love, but also reminds me of my childhood.
Thank you for talking to me. God bless you. Well done, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks, Eddie.